Well, I'm Hope here at Crafty Hope, and welcome to the Graphics YouTube channel. In this video, I am going to work with the Graphics Mixed Media Journal. This is the 6x9 size, along with some of the matte Frisket film to do like a layered art journal thing. So in the Mixed Media Journal, there's a front and back cover, which are made of the natural chipboard, but there's also 5 different kinds of the Duralar. So there's a clear Duralar, a matte Duralar, a wet media Duralar, an opaque white Duralar, and an opaque black Duralar. So I am, for this one, really wanted to play with the wet media Duralar and see what different things it can kind of take. So yeah, that's gonna be fun. So it is the thinnest one in here at a point, I think it's 0.004 is what it is, and that I know is, and you can see I've altered the cover. This is when I made some washi tape, so y'all can definitely check out that video on this channel as well. But this is much thinner than the other clear Duralar that's in here. So that's what I'm going to remove. And I'm going to pull out, we're going to start with some watercolors and make some flowers and then go from there. And yeah, I'm going to paint some flowers, lots and lots of flowers. I'm just going to show you the first part of this. I am working with I'm going to bring it in here in a second, the Jane Davenport Brights watercolor set, along with just a store brand large watercolor set. So nothing really fancy. I mean, the Jane Davenports are kind of fancy, but you know, none of the higher brand watercolors, and super cheap store paintbrush and painting on this, and y'all, it works out beautifully. I have not painted with watercolors on this wet media Dura-Lar, and I have to say it takes it so well. So I'm going to just show you the start of this. I'm starting with my larger flowers on here, which are going to be these like daisy ones, and then later on I'm going to fill in a bunch of other different flowers on here, and hopefully I'll have a video of that over on my own YouTube channel, so go head over there and see if I've got that up. And it's Crafty Hope is where you'll find me. So I tried to add this like blue rose flower in there, and I was not digging the shape of it. You could see me kind of slowing down and getting frustrated. So while it was still wet, I grabbed a paper towel and blot it up, and then wipe and add a little bit of water to my paper towel, and I'm able to remove it from this wet media Dura-Lar. Now I haven't tried removing any of the flowers that dried, but you know, that's something maybe you can try if you want to. I was so happy with how this came together that yeah. So I did leave these all to air dry. I did not try to heat dry them, so I'm just going to go ahead and add that in there. And y'all, look how beautiful those are. So I knew it would look great on white, so I'm going to bring in some of that white Dura-Bright in a little while. But first, the Frisket film. So I am marking on the Frisket film kind of where that, you can see I left kind of an oval shape open in the center of my wet media Dura-Lar, and I marked that on this Frisket film, and I'm cutting it down just a little bit. And I'm going to double check my measurements and my little marks, and then come in and kind of make the oval shape, so kind of cut off those corners so that I have a similar oval shape to what's in the middle. As you can see, I've cut it a little bit larger than the actual oval shape that I have, and then I'm going to peel the Frisket film from the backer. Now I am going to keep that backer because I will be bringing it in later, and we'll talk about that when we get to that. So I'm placing that on to the back side of where I painted and making sure it's nice and secure. And then I've got several different sprays. This first one is, I think it's Cut Grass Dilutions ink spray. And then I've got the Distress Oxide spray in Mode Grass or Mode Lawn, and then I have an Paper Artsy infusion spray that I made with the infusions powder and some water. And I'll spray that, and that's in Green Man. So these are, 3 different sprays, but they are wet media, and I really wanted to see how they worked out. So I'm going to leave them to dry just a little while. Well, a little while. Maybe I left it like an hour or something. I am going to move this over, to a paper towel to dry, and then where I can see the openings of the white, I'm adding a little more of the Green Man infusion spray on there, and again, letting it dry. So while I put it aside to dry, I am going to pull in like I said, I'm going to use this Dura-Bright in white opaque and pull that out. Y'all, I love how I can just pull out the pages I need from that mixed media journal and work on them. So easy, so fun. And there is the backer. Now, I absolutely could have used the Frisket film and probably should have. And I don't know why I didn't think to do it, but it's a new product to me, and lesson learned. I'll use it next time. But that backer is there, so I'm going to use it just as a guide for me of where I don't want to paint more than anything. So I start by pulling out. I think I'm going to use just a bunch of craft acrylic paints here, and I'm thinking, because I thought, okay, this is the exact same size as that film that I put down. I want this to be a little bit smaller, so I'm gonna mark just about a 1/4 of an inch, a 1/2 inch, I don't know, I'm bad with measuring, just inside along with what side is up on this, and then cut around it. And I'm gonna use some washi tape real quick on the side, and y'all, it's gonna roll around a little bit because I'm just not careful, but it's fine. I just need it tacked down, so y'all get to watch me struggle here. So I'm gonna put it down and try to smooth it out, and when smooth it out, it just rolls right off off that Duralar. I was like, what am I doing? So this is when I was like, oh, I probably should have just used the actual Frisket film. So I finally just tapped that tape in the middle, and I'm checking at kind of my measurements and like, okay, is that where I want it to be? No, I need to move it down. So I'm going to put it down, tap it in the middle, don't roll it, hope, and then start with the paint. And I am going to paint a bunch of leaf shapes on here, like I said, just with some green craft acrylic paint. I've got several colors, like a light, a medium, and a dark, that I am going to, and y'all, this was so much fun. I really enjoyed making just a ton of like botanical like shapes on this white Duralar. Now, what I did on the wet media Duralar, because it's clear, probably would have been fine without this, but I had a great time doing this, and it was a great experiment for me. So I'm going to skip ahead here to where I have got all of, my paints there, and I come in with some paint pens, and I'm going to do just a little bit of mark making, so some little dots and things like that, along with some leaf shapes that I'll use. So, and you can see I'm using a variety of different types of paint pens too, so not all like fancy brands. I think the brand I'm using right there is just from Target, and then I've got like those 2 ones that are in white. I think were in a little craft pack that it was at Aldi. So, use what you have. So, but this paint works great on the white Duralar. So I'm going to skip ahead once again when I get done with all of my doodling and mark making. And I have picked out several colors of additional paint pens. Oh, no, that's not what I'm doing. What am I doing here? Y'all, I don't even know. So I'm going to remove that backer, put it aside. I'm not going to need it again. And I'm going to look real quick, I think, at how my flowers... No, it's time to pull off the Frisket film. That's what it was. Everything was nice and dry. I do blot it just to double check. And then I'm going to pull off my Frisket film. And I'm so nervous. I was like, oh, and watch, I'm going to cross my fingers and pull up my sleeves and pull it off. And y'all, it was so perfect. The sprays had pulled along the edge of the Frisket film, did not go under that Frisket film. And where it had pulled made like a line, like an outline around it, which I love, love, love. I think that was awesome. So I put that aside, and I'm going to come back here to my green botanical one and write the phrase, whatever seed you are, bloom. because we've got all those blooms on there and different kinds of them. And yeah, and I really, and that's a quote by Atticus, but I kind of feel like whatever kind of seed you are, whether you bloom or you sprout or you grow, yes, everything about that. Yes, whatever you are, be who you are, grow how you need to grow. So I'm using more of those Target paint pens to write this phrase out. I think I had to switch out because some of these are too light for the bold statement I want them to be. So I'm going to write this on here, and I really should have spaced it a little bit better. I got it a little too far to the left, but that's okay. That's something, maybe an opportunity to come back in and doodle something over on that right opening. But once I get that all written down, I'm going to actually write that this quote's attributed to Atticus, and then from there put it all together and slip it back into my journal. I really loved this Wet Media Dura-Lar and can really foresee playing with it some more and doing lots of doodling and watercoloring and just playing with it. So I hope you enjoyed this. I encourage you to go to the graphicsarts.com website, check out all of their products and the versatility of them. There are lots of tutorials and suggestions there, so definitely go check it out. And like I said, I should have also a corresponding video over on my channel to show you some more of how I made the doodles and the watercolors and all of that if you're interested. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.